Hello, everyone. Tashina Gonzalez here to share with you guys some information on class attendance and networking. As you guys come in, as usual, every time I do a live, I ask for people to say hi, hello. Let me know what city and state you are watching this from. And if you're watching the replay, no matter what venue that is right now here in Facebook or later, and YouTube, then hashtag replay. So for those that don't know me, I am Tashina Gonzalez. I'm from the state of Michigan. I'm a silver, set to hit bridge to gold this month. I've been with Young Living close to 5.5 years now. And I'm a very non-traditional Young Living individual. I come from the business world and I went through some things and Panaway was placed on my body and Young Living changed my life. And I immediately knew that I had to share. So, what I'm sharing with you guys today has to do with class attendance and impact, engaging your out of state members, growing your network, so like cold market things, and then how to pivot this. So, I do want this to be a video that can be valuable. So, I'm going to talk about it in general, but then I'm going to always modify it to the times that we're living in. And so, for just information about my personality, I am usually when I'm out in public, I'm a red, blue, green. If I'm at work or doing something very task oriented, then I'm a red, green, blue. And I am definitely, when we went in this, realized that I am an extreme extrovert. So I used to refer to myself as an ambivert because I do need like 1 week out of the month where I don't associate with people. But when this hit, it hit me hard. Like March and April, I would mourn my freedom every time they extended another 2 weeks, another 2 weeks. I was extremely depressed. I would so much rather do in-person classes. And I've actually been able to successfully transition during this time. And when I talk to other people, I can see that I've been able to do that. And so I like to share that information with them. But again, we are going to talk about, so that this can be a video that will give you benefit no matter what time you're watching it, we're going to talk about things in general. So I'm going to start with increasing class attendance and impact. So I have been in a space in my business where I felt like I was having the recommended one class per month, and half of those classes were no-shows or just the people that are already in my business. So what's some of the important things to make sure that we get out of that space and we have very full classes? One of the very first things to do is to ask more questions. Are you teaching what people need to know? So you need to know what trends are out there right now. You need to know what your team needs to know. So one of the things that we have on our team, and we need to promote more and make sure everybody gets it done, is we have a Google Doc form with a questionnaire of things that people, the best way to contact people and what their health needs are and how they like to learn. So you can't do a bunch of Facebook classes if your people aren't on Facebook, or you can't always try to do things, your education in a Facebook group if your people aren't on Facebook. So it's really important to know how they learn. Maybe your people say that they learn better via YouTube. So whatever class you have needs to be uploaded to YouTube. So I can put in the notes some of these things that I talked about, including the Google Doc form that we have. But again, this is one of the keys and so important. Everyone needs to be asking first, what should my classes be, so that you're teaching the right thing. For instance, we did a class recently, and it was a class that was purchased through Oil Revolutions Designs. I didn't create the class, and it was difficulty dealing with emotions. We had 60 people show up to that class. People needed to know about it. So just having the topic that people wanted to know about, I did it. You would have thought the amount of people that marked interest to that class, you would have thought, because I do promote them on Facebook, that I would have boosted that class. It was so much interest, but it was a topic that was timely that people needed. So that's the most important step, really. When you're inviting people to your class, if they're current members, you want to connect it to their wellness consultation. So every person on your team, if they make sure that they're personally enrolled, has a wellness consultation, that's information that you can always use. So if you're from a very large team that has created their own system, you probably have a specialized wellness consultation. I'm blessed to be on Scott and Brenda Schuler's team. They have a specialized system for us, and they have a wellness consultation we can download from that system. Or you can just use the new member checklist that's in your virtual office if you don't have an upline providing you a wellness consultation. Make sure that you onboard people properly. So you should have a welcome letter and a welcome packet, or at the very least a postcard. So me being at the silver level, every new person gets a postcard. Every new person on that, it explains to them that we have upcoming classes and where our education system is. For all of your personally enrolled, you're going to send them a welcome letter and you're going to let them know that we have classes and these are all the things that we do. Invite more people. So one of the things that Sarah Harnish mentioned in game plan is to make sure you invite 50 people to every class. So do you really invite enough people to the classes for them to show up? If you invite 50 plus people to every class, and again, this is not, I have a Facebook event and then I click invite. This is, I send a direct message to this person and I mention what was their need was, if it's a prospect that so I know their need, or I mention something in their wellness consultation that they want to work on, that this class is going to fill that need. That's what an invitation is. It's not clicking that invite button on Facebook. Promote different ways. So I send out definitely to my personally enrolled and then once a month to some of the other individuals and then some every 3 months, the class schedule. So they know that these classes are available. So people that may not, perhaps are not attending those classes. And then once every 3 weeks or 3 months or so, I do to prospects as well. So one of those classes might pique their interest. I do always have a Facebook invite, no matter what type of class it is, so that they have that visibility. You can send text messages, you can send Facebook messages, send out reminders, make sure you're posting them on social media in your stories. Again, we're not going to gunk up social media. We know all the rules for social media. We're not going to gunk it up with a lot of just extra stuff, but the classes you can post in your story, they'll disappear in 24 hours. Host classes with 2 or more people. So I don't think I do any classes anymore where I don't have 2 people that are hosting. So I actually will host classes with Crossline. I will host classes with prospects that have interest, and it's a way to ensure that they attend my class and get my information. I actually did that on Monday. And then I will host group classes with my team. So you can invite if you're higher than the level star, you can invite your stars and above to teach. They call you super excited and they tell you a story about our product and you say, hey, would you mind sharing that on this class we're having? So very frequently you will see, if you're following me on YouTube, it's just my name, Tashina Gonzalez, you will see classes where I have between 4 and 6 individuals teaching on that class. So I open usually and close, or maybe a strong person on my team that's been teaching for a long time, I open and I close. And then we have different individuals, and make sure that you always are doing storytelling. Remember that facts tell, stories sell. Create FOMO, fear of missing out, guys. So drop educational things in the event before. So say I'm having a spa party. Well, I have all this content that I've already created about natural skincare and how awesome our makeup is. And so every day I can go in there and schedule some of those videos, and it's giving them tidbits. And now they're looking forward to actually coming to the spa party because I posted that video about how to have great skincare, and I posted the other video about how charcoal bar soap is amazing. And so now they're excited to come to the spa parties. Go live before the event. So that's usually, especially when I'm doing it like at a different location or something, I will the day before, or like when I have my spa parties, I would actually go live at the location after I've set up. So go live and create some more FOMO that way. Post pics after. So like people will see and be like, man, that seemed like so much fun. I got to go to the next one. If you're into graphics, create a nice graphic so you get to promote it again, and then you can text out that graphic. They got the information. Again, post that in your stories. And then, sorry guys, just turn this off so it doesn't distract me. Create a consistent schedule. So that helps a lot too, right? So in my team, my sister runs a Wellness Wednesday. That's every single Wednesday consistently. We have our Selfcare Sundays. That is currently consistently at the 3rd Sunday of every month. I do my Feel Good Friday lives by myself, which is just teaching when I do my lives. And so people can anticipate that. And then when they say, oh, I can't make this one, then you automatically know you have something in the books to be like, oh, well, I'll see you next Wednesday. Have more classes, which can seem counterintuitive. if you don't feel like you're having a lot of people attend classes. But if you have more classes and you make sure that you have classes on the books, when somebody says I can't go to this class, they're automatically you have 2 more classes they can attend within the next 7 to 10 days. And how do you have more classes when you feel like you're having a bunch of classes? Encourage your downline to have some. Collaborate with Crossline to share the burden. That's how you can get more classes on the books. So at this point in time in my team, we're probably having like 15 or a little bit more classes. And some of them I'm not able to attend, but my executives are taking responsibility for their businesses and they're having classes. And then edification, super, super important. So I basically got to executive by having 1 or 2 classes a month and attending my upline's classes. If you have an upline that is hosting classes, consider yourself blessed. You should be promoting those classes like crazy. You should be giving those 50 invites out to those classes like crazy. That is how I got to executive. And you want to edify the class content, even if it's like an essential oils 101, be like, every single time I go to this class, I find I learn something new. Make it so exciting, like the best thing ever to get to this class. Edify the speaker. So when I was in my executive and then silver run and I was attending and promoting the classes of my upline, I made my upline walk on water. Like your people on your team should be so excited just to see that speaker come up on the scene. So in my instance, my upline was super crunchy. She was the traditional young living person, homeschool mom, has family that owns health food stores, had access to other different essential oils. And so I edified her and made people so excited to meet her because she had so much more knowledge and she was doing it longer and she came from that particular industry that it made them want to come to class. So edification is super important. Ask yourself, how much am I edifying the speakers that are going to be at these classes? And how much am I edifying the content of the class, of how amazing it's going to be and how much they're going to learn if they show up to that class? And then just for engagement, one of the most important things, honestly, with engagement, and if you're feeling like people aren't showing up to the class, is your actual mindset. So define your culture, what it's going to be, and declare it in your affirmations. So if you consistently tell yourself, no one comes to my classes, that's what you're going to notice and continue to attract. Instead, in your affirmations, say, I always have full classes. I always have 10 plus people come to my classes. So you got to declare what state you want to be in before it happens. Write out momentum. Like when you have momentum, when you have someone sharing, look for it and write that out. For me personally, COVID, this shutdown time, emotionally was very difficult for me, but it was one of the best things ever for my business because it brought in some growth and some engagement. But I had to engage, I had to keep those people engaged. Like I still have momentum even now that this is starting to be a little bit of our new normal. I still have engagement because I rode that momentum. And so you have to engage those people, reach out to them, have personal conversations, get their why, keep them engaged beyond any blip up. And celebrate success. Like if someone teaches at those classes for you, if you have a high class, like shout that from the rooftops. And get to know people's story. Again, to get people to classes, it's got to be storytelling. It's got to be experiences. It can't just be all facts. So getting more engagement in people to your classes will help if you make sure that there's storytelling involved. Now, moving to the next point. So how do you engage your individuals that are out of state? Okay, so again, especially for me, someone who loved my format was 75% in-person classes, right? I love teaching in person. Social media was never my go-to because I want to see your full body language. I have a strong personality. I got to see if you're getting uncomfortable. I got to see your facial expressions. So online was not the way that I want to teach. But if I wanted to engage my out of state people, I always had to have a couple of virtual events per month, no matter what, right? I actually build internationally. And so I always had my virtual spa parties and then another educational event. Leverage all of your corporate events and tools. So that is even easier now, but even in normal times, right? So the top of my third leg is in Alabama. So she was able to go to On the Grow in person when she first got started in Alabama. I was planning to go to beauty school in North Carolina, where the top of my second leg is. I attended the virtual convention in virtual European convention. I'm going to attend the virtual Latin American convention, but if it was not virtual, I would go in person. And so leverage those, make sure that all of your out of state and really all of your people, period, just because it's good information, they are in their respective country Facebook pages and they're plugging into those education things. All of your people here in the States are plugging into the Young Living USA. They're attending all of those trainings. You're sending them out to them. Because if they're out of state, they don't have as many opportunities in the normal setting to attend your classes. So leverage, leverage, leverage all of those corporate events and tools because they will help you grow. Create leaders in other areas. So when the world opens back up or previous to this, plan a tax deductible vacation where your leaders are. And then you can spend time and do the things in person with them during that tax deductible vacation and teach them how to have their own business meetings, their own in person one on ones. And then you can leave and that gets duplicated there. Utilize Zoom and conference calls. So I frequently run boot camps and it's when my people ask for it. So we started the Dream 500 and my people said, hey, wouldn't it be a good time to do a boot camp? So when you're doing that, you can do conference calls or Zoom calls. Everybody's used to Zoom now. And you can do training with everyone in every state. Hey, Terry, everyone in every state in every country. Keep them engaged and keep them in your mind if it's your thing to do. Happy mail or postcards. So I send postcards again to the majority of my team at least once every 3 months. And then project broadcast. So just using that to leverage your text messages to communicate with people. Again, keep them on your mind, keep them engaged because they're thinking about you. Hi, hello, how are you doing? All the care things that you need to do via project broadcast. Now, moving on to growing your network. So expanding your cold market. I actually have a video called Sharing on the Go, which is for the normal setting of how to like engage people when you're just very, very busy. And I can drop that in the link as well. Now in this market, of course, it's everything, some of the things that I'm going to mention, almost all of them have just converted to be virtual. But the most important thing to remember is everything is the same and it's still going to take 7 to 12 exposures, right? So we know that from Eric Worre, from his training in GoPro, it takes 7 to 12 exposures. When we start out with our warm market, we start out with our friends and family, and we're with our sister almost every day because she's our best friend. And those 7 to 12 exposures get real short when it's with family members and best friends. And then we start moving out and out and we're like in our lukewarm market and it takes a little bit longer. And then we're trying to meet new people and bring in our cold market. It's still going to take 7 to 12 exposures. So whether you're doing that on social media or when we're able to at certain networking events, it's going to take 7 to 12 exposures. Sometimes those exposures can come from other places. Maybe they've already heard of oils. And once in a while, yes, you can sign somebody up the second time, but usually that's not going to be the case. So just remember, you're building the relationship first, and then you're getting them those exposures. And then form, right? Ask what their needs are. Find their needs as soon as possible. Ask what you can do for them. When we're physically able to get with people, I always have samples ready. I always buy those little sample packs and put my information on them and I have my little bag. I don't have it over here that has my oils in it to generate curiosity. And if somebody says I smell good, I'm always ready to give them some information and samples and exchange information. Put them in the YL Share app. So that's when you actually hand them samples, you can put them in the app and say that you physically gave them samples. When you're on social media, I very frequently, if someone will ask me something, I'll offer to and send them samples, put them in the app. And then just how do you meet people? Right now, the only way to do it is via social media, right? So I use a LinkedIn for presence. So again, I come from the business world, and so that's where I go and I say hi to people and stay on their mind and congratulations on your new role, congratulations on the new job, etc. That creates presence for me. Facebook is what I do for communication. So I do a lot of Facebook messages. That's where I put all my classes on my Facebook page. And then Instagram is where I make connections. So making sure that you communicate with those individuals, right? The posting is not the meeting of the new people. It all goes down in the DMs. That's where you're actually making the connections by having conversations with them. You have to post regularly and you have to comment on every comment that they've made, but the connection doesn't happen. They're not a new person that you're connecting with unless you have an actual conversation. So when they say something to you, ask a question, then take it to the direct message and say, hey, want to answer that question. How are you doing? And have a conversation, build the relationship. And there's networking events. There's tons of networking events that exist just in different cities. Now all of those have went virtual. There's meetup.com where you can find people that have different interests that are yours. Nextdoor.com actually has local to your neighborhood things going on, and you can find events to meet people there. And again, all of this right now has gone virtual. There's some cheaper events like vendor events, networking after work. And again, all of these currently have gone virtual. And then you can actually pay for some type of business networking like chambers, pay professional clubs like BNIs. I do belong to a couple of chambers just because that helps me meet other business professionals that are kind of my niche market, as well as if I'm going to pay for an event, I'm going to be there all the time. And then now in this new world, there's people doing house party and Zoom parties. Like maybe your church is doing some new stuff. They're creating Instagram groups and WhatsApp groups and uh, different chats. And so when if you are actively trying to increase your names list, and a normal day, I might not be all that interested in and all that stuff. But since it's the only way I'm going to meet new people right now, I am meeting new people. And like my fourth leg all came from is literally has been created in the past month and a half. That's going to get me to bridge to gold. And it is all from people I met like via Zoom parties or Instagram or WhatsApp chats. All of that in one vendor event too. So all of that fourth leg was created in this time period using these methods. And then how do we actually pivot? So again, I was an in-person person. I had lots of in-person classes. I had a monthly in-person spa party. It was a very elaborate. Golds would come from across the state to see how we did our spa parties. My sister's an esthetician. It was an event. We would have sometimes we would have a massage therapist there. We would have where you can do foot soak. We would have where you could do paraffin treatments. You could try all the makeup. I bought all the makeup. You would do a facial. It was a huge event, and it was very successful. People would come and then they would ask questions, and then we would always direct them to the kit, and they would leave with buying kits. It was a hugely successful event. When I had in-person classes, if it was a specific topic like feelings, I would have all the oils there. You would be able to try all the oils. A lot of times have a display there. And that's what I was used to, and that's how I grew. And then I couldn't do that anymore. So one of the first things that I had to do during COVID was ask myself, what do people need? So again, a lot of my teaching just changed. Like I had to do a lot of teaching on emotions because that was the main thing that people were going through. with what first happened. And then after that, all of like the riots and all that stuff, there was so much stuff that were affecting people's emotions. I had to more and more change the topic to what people wanted to need. So even though we couldn't be in person, this was a different format. As long as I was feeding people what they needed, they would still show up. And then decide what is the basic that we can get away with. So I had already been doing virtual spa parties. However, that was just like my thing to engage my out of state and out of country people. But now it was the only option I had. So I had to get my local people to come too. And I had these spa parties that were elaborate. Well, what was the basic thing that I needed out of the spa parties? I need to be able to educate people. I need them to understand how toxic free living is good, and I need to have them touch some products, right? And so now with my virtual spa parties, I can still have virtual spa parties. I mail out samples. I make sure that I always have on hand the tools that I need to do that. And we still get that education done. And again, people show up. We have 10 to 15 people, usually at most of our spa parties in 2 different languages. And how can we make this interactive? So I've done perfume parties. I've done a makeup party, but I didn't send samples out for that. The more that you can make it interactive, the better it's going to be. So make sure that you have co-hosts, make sure that they know how to make sure the right person is being spotlighted when they speak, and they're welcoming everybody when they come in, and they're helping ask questions, and they're making it so that it is a community and a discussion and not just a lecture that people want to leave after 20, 30 minutes for. And then return to your list of how to get people to attend classes, period. So, again, even though the climate is different and we're now virtual, some of those same things are still going to apply. If you're really teaching the things that people want to know, they're going to show up. So that is what I want to share with you guys today. I haven't really seen if there's any questions or anything, but I will definitely come back and get any questions if I see them. And the replay of this will be available on my YouTube channel. So again, if you're not yet following me, follow me on YouTube. It's just my name, Tashina Gonzalez. And I thank you guys for listening to me today. Have an amazing evening. Bye.